Look, the bust label they put on Sam Darnold was never about talent. It was about a team diagnosis disguised as a player take. The Jets didn't just fail him, they taught him how to play bad football, and they taught him fast. Think about the timeline. They handed the keys to a 20-year-old quarterback in the New York market and called him the franchise savior before he even took a snap. Then they built a house of cards around him and wondered why it collapsed. Today, we're pinpointing the exact failure points, the protection, the coaching, the roster, and the messaging. And here's the real kicker. We have a control group. Because what Sam Darnold did in Minnesota and Seattle isn't just a comeback story. It's evidence that proves the Jets almost ruined him for good. So let's rewind. Sam Darnold comes out of USC as the rhythm and structure guy with the off-script playmaking. He's young, moldable. He's the perfect clay for a good organization to sculpt. The Jets get him with the third pick, and the first thing they do is throw him into the deep end. He's starting week 1 at age 21. That's not development. That's trial by fire. And the warning signs were there from the jump. Remember his first NFL pass? Pick 6, right out of the gate. But here's the thing. He bounced back that same game, threw 2 touchdowns, and they blew out the Lions. And that win was the worst thing that could have happened. It created a false sense of security. It let the Jets front office think the problem was solved, so they never truly fixed the protection. That was the pattern. Flashes of brilliance buried under a mountain of volatility. Why? Look at what they gave him. The early pass-catching help was Robbie Anderson, Terrell Pryor, Jermaine Kearse. It was a make-something-out-of-nothing offense on every single down. And the protection? It wasn't just bad. It was a disaster. A leaky offensive line forces a quarterback into try-hard decisions. You start seeing late throws, hero balls, rushed footwork. You're not playing the game anymore. You're just trying to survive. But let's autopsy the roster itself, because this is where the organizational failure becomes criminal. You hear all the time about teams building a safety net for a young quarterback. Let's check the scoreboard. When the Bills saw Josh Allen's accuracy issues, they went and traded for Stephon Diggs, a true number 1 who could win 50-50 balls and create easy separation. That's a shield. It protects your QB's weaknesses. When the Eagles needed Jalen Hurts to take the next step, they went out and got A.J. Brown. That's a sword. It weaponizes your QB's strengths. The Jets gave Sam Darnold a blindfold and a prayer. No ex-receiver who demanded a double team. No elite tight end to work the middle of the field. While the front office was spending money on high-priced linebackers and secondary pieces, they left the most important investment in franchise history, the 20-year-old quarterback, standing in an empty cupboard. Every snap was make a miracle or take a sack. That's not development. That's negligence. The Jets weren't teaching Sam Darnold how to win. They were teaching him how not to get killed. And while everyone thinks they know the story of the ghosts that came later, the real tragedy was what the Jets' front office and coaching staff did to him before he even stepped on the field. And then the Jets doubled down. They brought in Adam Gase, the so-called quarterback whisperer. The narrative around the league was simple. Darnold's turnovers, the inconsistency. He's just not the answer. But here's the insight everyone missed. The Jets, under Gase, systematically removed every single tool that creates easy wins for a quarterback. We're talking motion, play action, defined reads, moving pockets. They took a rhythm quarterback and stuck him in a static, predictable scheme behind that same leaky offensive line. Think about that 97-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. That was a rhythm flow off play action with motion, the exact concepts Gase's offense threw in the trash. They weren't just asking Darnold to do more, they were asking him to do everything with less. Check the coaching continuity. Darnold was cycling through offensive systems and coordinators before he could even legally buy a beer. Timing quarterbacks hate constant language changes. It's like learning Spanish, then being told to speak French, then switching to Mandarin mid-conversation. You're never fluent, you're always thinking. Now, the Seeing Ghosts game. Monday Night Football 2019 against the Patriots. This is the emblem of the whole era. Bill Belichick ran a zero blitz stress test, bringing more rushers than the Jets had blockers. In a functional offense, the coaching staff gives the quarterback a hot read, a quick slant or a flare route designed to beat that exact pressure. But the Jets' scheme left Darnold on an island. There was no counterpunch, no plan to beat the blitz. When Darnold said he was seeing ghosts, he was describing the feeling of a collapsing pocket where every pre-snap look turned into a post-snap disaster. Now here's the vindication. In 2024, with the Vikings, Darnold saw the same zero blitz look from the Packers. This time, the play call had a built-in answer, a quick slant to Justin Jefferson. Darnold didn't flinch. He took the snap, made one read, and fired. First down. The same pressure that once broke him was now just another line in the playbook. And then the hits kept coming. Mononucleosis wipes out 3 games. He comes back early, underweight, trying to play catch-up. 2020 is a full meltdown, 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 2 wins. The confidence spiral is complete. You press, you force it, the game speeds up on you. Every loss hardens the bad habits deeper. Look, Sam Darnold made mistakes. He threw the picks, but the Jets amplified every flaw and buried every strength. They finally cut bait, shipped him to Carolina. Fresh start, right? Wrong. Just another shaky platform with the same old problems. He left New York as a punchline, but the real story was just getting started. If you want to see how he turned into a $100 million comeback, stay locked in. We're about to show you the laboratory that rebuilt him. The Carolina reboot that wasn't. They start 3-0 and everyone's talking about the fresh start. Then the same old demons show up. Protection issues, shaky play calling, injuries. He fractures his scapula. The confidence swings back the other way. But then comes the key pivot. The San Francisco year. He signs as a backup to Brock Purdy. And let's be real about what that means. You're the 3rd overall pick. You were supposed to be the face of a franchise. Now you're holding a clipboard behind a Mr. Irrelevant pick who's leading a team to the Super Bowl. That's ego death. That's the moment where you either blame the world or look in the mirror. Sam chose the mirror. For a full year, he sat in Kyle Shanahan's quarterback laboratory, an offense built entirely on control, timing, and leverage. He wasn't playing on Sundays, but he was studying film like his career depended on it, because it did. He stripped his mechanics down and rebuilt them from the ground up, quieting his feet in the pocket, trusting his progression instead of bailing early, letting the play develop instead of forcing the hero ball. He had to unlearn the survival instincts the Jets drilled into him. That brings us to the control group, Minnesota. In 2024, with Kevin O'Connell, they gave him structure, plus weapons, plus a line, plus play caller trust. And the results were insane. 4,319 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a 102.5 passer rating, and a 14-3 rating. Why did it work? Let's break down the blueprint. Kevin O'Connell didn't just give Sam Darnold a playbook. He gave him physics. He used Justin Jefferson as a gravity piece. Think about it. Jefferson is a defensive coordinator's nightmare. You have to account for him on every single snap. That means safeties shading his way, linebackers peeking into his routes, corners giving up inside leverage just to not get beat over the top. That gravity pulls defenders out of position. It clears out the intermediate lanes, the exact areas where a rhythm quarterback like Darnold is most dangerous. Let's make it concrete. That 97-yard touchdown to Jefferson? Watch the film. Pre-snap, the safety cheats toward Jefferson's side. At the snap, play action freezes the linebacker for half a second. Jefferson runs a go route, the safety drills left to help over the top, and suddenly there's a seam down the right hash. Darnold sees it, trusts it, delivers. The window is open for maybe 2 seconds. In New York, that window never opens. In Minnesota, it's a barn door. And here's the stat that proves the system worked. In Minnesota, Darnold played with a lead on 53% of plays, a league high. That means he wasn't forced into hero ball anymore. He could trust his progressions, take the check down, let the play develop. The Jets taught him to scramble for his life. Minnesota taught him to let the game come to him. Why? Because nobody feared Robbie Anderson or Jermaine Kearse. Defenses could just sit in their zones, read Sam's eyes, and jump every route. There was no gravitational pull to create space. In Minnesota, the system created the windows. Sam's job was just to deliver the ball on time. It's the difference between flying a plane in a storm with no radar and flying a modern jet on autopilot. They turned what looked reckless in New York into decisive in Minnesota by designing an offense that moved the defense before the snap. They treated him like a pilot, not a firefighter. And then Seattle saw the same thing Minnesota did. In March 2025, they handed him a 3-year, $100.5 million contract, not as a bridge, not as a stopgap, as the guy. And right now, he's leading them to a 14-3 record and the number 1 seed in the NFC with 25 touchdowns on the season. Top 10 in passing yards, top 10 in touchdowns, top 10 in passer rating. He's putting up MVP caliber numbers while the Jets are cycling through another rebuild with another young quarterback behind another shaky line. So, was he a late bloomer, or did the Jets just commit the greatest developmental crime in NFL history? The numbers from 2024 finally gave us a verdict. The broader lesson here is that bust is often a team diagnosis dressed up as a player take. When people ask what's changed with Sam Darnold, the answer is simple. It's mostly everything around him. New York asked him to survive. Minnesota asked him to process. Seattle asked him to play. Darnold's arc is the clearest reminder that quarterback development is an organization test, not just a player test. And here's the kicker. The Jets are still running the same playbook. Different notes, same script. They're still cycling through young quarterbacks, still patching together offensive lines, still wondering why it never works. Sam Darnold didn't escape a bad situation. He escaped a pattern. Drop your take. Did the Jets almost ruin him, or was Darnold always going to need a second stop to figure it out? If you've got another system versus talent case, throw it in the comments and hype this video and subscribe for more breakdowns.